Get ready to enter the Thrivetime Show on Talk Radio 1170. Broadcasting live from the center of the universe. It's Business School Without the BS. Featuring optometrist turned entrepreneur, Dr. Robert Zellner, with USSBA Entrepreneur of the Year, Clay Clark.
All right, Thrive Nation, welcome back to the Thrivetime Show on your radio or podcast player. And what we're doing right now is we're going to answer the question of how do you run a group interview? Eric Chupp, you're a business coach. Can you explain to the listeners what even is a group interview? We have a listener who's obviously listened for quite a while, and they want to know how to run a group interview. But I want to break it down just a very fundamental question. What is a group interview?
So it's not what I find most people think it is. Typically, when you say the word group interview, people think that you're going to be sitting in front of a group of people who are interviewing you.
Right.
And it's actually the exact opposite of that. So you're going to be in a group of people that are being interviewed by one person. So as a business owner or manager, you're going to get all of the job candidates, all the applicants are going to come into one single interview in a group, and you're going to do it all at one time. Now,
the reason why you do that is according to the U.S. Chamber. If you can look up that stat, but according to the U.S. Chamber and CBS News, I want to make sure we have it fact checked on the show notes so all of the Thrive Nation can actually prove, or you could prove to yourself that what I'm saying is true, because the statistics are going to seem alarming when you first read them for the first time.
True.
But according to the U.S. Chamber of Commerce and CBS News, 75% of employees are stealing from the workplace, and most are doing so repeatedly. I mean, think about that for a second. I mean, Chup, does it ever shock you how many people that will come to the group interview? The group interview is scheduled for, let's say, 5 p.m. on Tuesday night, let's say.
Okay.
Out of 30 people that said they're going to be to the interview, by the way, the candidates don't know it's a group interview. They just think it's a job interview. Of the people that are supposed to be there on time, what percentage of them do you feel like, from your perspective, actually show up even on time?
It's less than 50%. Almost every time.
It's brutal.
It's unbelievable.
So according to the U.S. Chamber, again, 75. Chup, what are the stats showing there?
So we've got, let me get it here. So yeah, like you said, 75% of employees steal from the workplace, and most do it repeatedly, according to CBS News on Money Watch.
Not good. And we'll put that link on the show notes, but that's not a good thing. It's not a good thing. Also, there's all sorts of statistics you can find out there. You know, that show that the average, Forbes did a study and asked employees, what percentage of you are wasting time? They just asked, hey, let's be honest. We'll do a survey. We won't tell your boss.
Be anonymous.
But what percentage of you are wasting your time? And they found that 31% of employees are wasting their time.
On this same article right here, it says a typical organization loses 5% of its annual revenue to employee fraud.
Ow!
Same study, same article.
It's not good. It's not a good thing. And so here's what I want to put into your brain there, Thrive Nation. Here's a notable quotable. It says, this is from Andrew Carnegie. This is the guy who built the Carnegie Steel. He's a guy who started working at the age of 13 to support his family because financially they were not in a good spot. He says, as I grow older, I pay less attention to what men say. I just watch what they do. That's Andrew Carnegie. So here's the idea I want to put into your head. Is it you're going to have to interview at least 4 people to find one person who is honest.
At least.
So 75% of employees are stealing from the workplace according to the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, right? So 75% of them are stealing. And according to my personal research, I'm just telling you, if we interview 20 candidates this week, maybe 2 of them who have the skill have the character needed to work for us. They have the skill, but they don't have the character. From my experience, 2 out of 20. So the question is, how do you find good in people, and how do you run a group interview? This is how you run a group interview. One is you schedule a specific time. You schedule a specific time each week to do your job posts, okay? So you have to do those weekly job posts. If you don't do weekly job posts, you're going to lose. If you don't do the weekly job posts, you're just going to lose. You have to post every single week on Craigslist, on Indeed. You have to do it. The second is you have to have a weekly time scheduled to interview. You have to have a weekly scheduled specific time. Why do you have to do that? Because anybody who applies for a job, you want to send them a pre-written email, And the pre-written email will let them know, hey, you might be a good fit. We'll go ahead and interview you this Tuesday night at 5. And you just send the same email to every single person.
Every single person.
And that way, when they show up all at one time or they don't, you don't waste hours of your time. You just waste 1 hour of your time. And then when you actually interview the people, you want to have a game plan. You actually want to have a game plan or a script for the interview. And this is what you want to go over in your interview. One, you want to go over the compensation for the job. Okay, you want to go over the compensation. All right. First thing, you want to go over those expectations. You want to go over the expectations. What are you expecting from the applicants, right? The expectations. The second is you go over the communication. How will you communicate with me if we work here? The third is you want to go over the compensation. And the fourth is you want to go over any questions they have. Now, when you talk about expectations, you want to get into the values. You want to get into specifically what makes your company a great place to work for. You want to get into all that. You want to create a polarizing environment where people know quickly whether they want to work with you or not. You've got to go over, one, the expectations, two, the communication, how you're going to, if you work here, you're going to be expected to work here, 9 to 5, and your boss is Carl. And if you're ever running late or whatever, you call him. This is how we communicate. You don't text or you don't email or whatever your policies are. Third, this is the compensation. This is what you get paid if you work here. Then fourth, you go over, do you have any questions? Chubb, you've seen the group interview done week after week for years.
Yeah.
Why is it such a powerful super move for companies that are struggling to find really good people?
Well, here's one of the hang-ups I see with a lot of clients that we implement this with is you have to do it every single week, like you were saying just a minute ago. If you're waiting until you need somebody to start looking for them, you're never going to find that A player. It's going to be super rare that those stars align, that A player, that A team member that can perform, that has the character and the skills that you need to do it, are going to be looking for a job that exact moment you're looking to hire. So you have to do it every single week to keep that pipeline of applicants full.
So let me give you an example. Back in the day, here's kind of a fun story for you. When I was running DJ Connection, before I sold it, we were doing about 4,000 events per year at djconnection.com.
That's a few.
And what happens is every weekend you have to do about 80 weddings, which means you have to send out 80 separate men to go and provide entertainment for 80 separate weddings. Now, to be fair, sometimes a DJ would DJ Friday, Saturday, Sunday, so you'd have one guy to do 3 shows. So usually you'd run a squad of 45 active DJs, 80 on your roster, though. Okay, and no other DJ company in the country could relate to me. They'd ask me to come speak at these wedding seminars and wedding events saying, hey, you're the entrepreneur of the year. Could you come in and teach us how to run a wedding business? And I told them, well, what you want to do is you want to never be short on employees. You never want to be short. You never want to have to put up with somebody past their expiration date. Because if you have 80 DJs, and it sounds crazy, but I would call a guy and say, hey, I've got a show for you this Saturday. About half of them would refuse to do the show. They'd say, well, where's the show? And you're like, at the, this was back in the day, by the way, before the Mayo Hotel was totally renovated. This is when it was first opening. I'd say, it's at the Mayo Hotel. And they're like, downtown?
What?
I don't want to go downtown.
Sketch.
No one's downtown. And then you'd say, well, okay, I have an event for you at Forest Ridge. And they would say, sure, I'll do that one. And then you call the next guy. Hey, I've got a show for you at the Mayo Hotel. And they'd say, Mayo Hotel, downtown. Now everybody wants to DJ there.
Right.
But back in the day, no one wanted to be there.
Did you guys ever do anything at the castle in Muskogee? You know that place?
Yes,
there?
we did.
I love that place.
I used to have to really, really have to motivate people to get them to want to do that event. It was kind of a hell gig.
Yeah.
Well, now we had our holiday party this year at the Mayo Hotel. It's beautiful. But I had these DJs. I had to get these 80 people to commit to doing these 40 shows this Saturday and this Friday. Now, here's what's crazy. Is out of 40 guys that were scheduled, Chubb, do you want to guess how many of them wouldn't show up for their load-up time? Now, the way it worked, your show's supposed to be at 8 o'clock start. Usually it's like a 7 o'clock start.
Right.
So if you were DJing tonight at the Summit Club, you'd have to get there at 5 o'clock to set up.
Right.
But I had your load-up time would always be 5 hours before the show.
Make sure no snags, everything's going to go
What percentage of the DJs do you think that wouldn't show up for their load-up time?
Half. Quarter.
Yeah. At least 1 out of 10.
Wow.
1 out of 10. So with 40 guys going out, I had to pay 5 guys just to hang out, and that's probably where the name 5 Guys comes from.
5 guys.
I had to have 5 guys that I would pay just to hang out at the office just in case they were needed. They were called runners. And so this is something that's massive. I never had a problem where I didn't have enough DJs to cover my shows because I never stopped doing the group interview.
Exactly.
So again, I'm repeating the action steps here. You have to have a weekly job post. Every single week, I would recommend that you post on Indeed and Craigslist, and you never stop. Someone might be saying, well, how much do I spend on that? Depending upon the business, I would recommend you spend at least $200 a week on Indeed and Craigslist every single week. Craigslist is $25 per post per the time of this recording. It changes all the time. Second is you've got to have a weekly specific scheduled time. Chup, why do you have to have a weekly specific time, and why can't you change it from week to week every week?
Because you will end up missing it yourself if it's not a rock in your schedule. And it's something that you can't change. You need to put that thing, like we talk about all the time, as a rock in your schedule. Fill up the sand of life around that rock, because this has to happen. It absolutely has to happen. If you're sick, if whatever, you have to make this interview at the same time, because that's already going to be out on your ads. People are already going to be expecting to be there, so you have to have it at the same time every week.
Now, the pre-written email. Why do you have to have a pre-written email that explains the specific time of the interview, the location of the interview, and all of the details of the job? Why do you have to have the email pre-written?
The whole point of this system is to save you time. It's to save you time from, one-on-one interviews, from responding to every single person with a, typed up custom email. So you have a canned response that you send out, telling them all the details so that you can immediately do it. You can send it out as soon as that comes in. You can do it in your meta time, but you have to have it canned so you can just send it immediately.
And then why do you have to have a game plan for when the candidates actually show up for the job interview? Why can't you just wing it? Because a lot of people say, well, I just wing it. I don't even know how I do it. I just do it.
Because everybody can tell when you're winging it.
Oh.
And then top talented people with high character are not going to want to come work for you. It's not inspiring to show up to a job interview where it seems like the person who either owns the company or is running the job interview it looks like they don't know what they're doing.
And if you don't know how to do a group interview and you're asking yourself, well, why do I need to do one? And again, it's because 75% of people, according to CBS News and the U.S. Chamber, are stealing from the workplace. According to Forbes, 31% of people don't even try at the job. So Andrew Carnegie, if he were here, the late, great Andrew Carnegie said, as I grow older, I pay less attention to what men say. I just watch what they do. And unfortunately, 3 out of 4 people don't have what it takes to hold a job in America today. They just can't be consistent enough to get it done. And so if you're struggling with hiring, sales, marketing, all of these things, hiring might be just the tip of the iceberg for you. Maybe you need help with your accounting. Maybe you need help with optimizing your website. I would invite you to take advantage of our offer we have going right now, which is unbelievable. All you got to do is go to thrivetimeshow.com in iTunes. So just type in Thrivetime Show.
Thrivetime, one word.
And then the word iTunes. Thrivetime Show and the word iTunes. You go up to iTunes, and if you subscribe to the podcast.
Yep, subscribe first.
And you simply write a review. Again, just subscribe and write a review of the Thrivetime Show in iTunes. Then you get a free conference ticket to attend our next in-person workshop, which is in February, right, Chuck?
February 16th and 17th. It's a Friday, and those tickets are normally $99.
So you're going to get $198 of free stuff two tickets as a result of simply subscribing on iTunes and writing us a review. When we come back, we're going to be talking about what if your spouse or family member is not driven or passionate about anything as it relates to the business. Wow, what an awkward question. Why would you email that to us to info@thrive15.com? It's the Thrive Time Show on your radio.
Make sure you never miss a broadcast by signing up for the Thrive Time Show podcast.